Hi again, my name is Rebel and I'm the Rebel Reseller, and today I'm doing a little bit different of a video for you. Something I've wanted to do and I'm just making the time to do it today. I am going to do my top 12 favorite vintage stuffed animal brands. Alright, I thought I was going to be doing my top 12 in this, but we were halfway through and already at the allocated amount of time that I like to keep my videos to. So we're going to just do these 6 and then we're going to do the other 6 back to back. I'm just going to put out a second video of the other 6 of my favorite vintage stuffs. I'll probably do another one at another time that will be just like bread and butters, but I went in and I pulled up the highest solds for the last 90 days for these brands that I talk about them all the time. And so I just thought, let's just share them. I'm learning a lot just looking through the screen, things that I've never even seen, but I'm going to point out the things that I have purchased probably in the past at some point. I may have a few of them in my store right now, but I definitely look for them when I'm out, especially at estate sales and yard sales. All right, so if you're new to my channel, I have been selling on eBay for 22 years, mostly stuffed animals. That is the thing that I love to sell the most, and specifically, I just kind of have fallen into the groove where I love to look for the vintage stuff. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do another video on some of the other brands that I talk about that are more current, just to share some of the things that is selling, and especially selling high. All right, so the first brand I picked is Animal Fair. I've said this many times on videos. It's one of my favorites, so we're just going to start with it. And I'm just going to scroll. Hopefully this doesn't make anybody motion sick, but I'm just going to scroll through. I've got this pulled up, and we'll just look at some of these together. This first thing, I have never seen a Sasquatch. So if you see a huge 5-foot Sasquatch, I think I would buy it no matter what brand it is. But this one sold for quite a bit. Why I really like, and how I learned about Animal Fair, was through Henry. Henry is a dog series that I came upon. I think the first time I ever found one was at a Goodwill bins. And I picked him up, and now there's been several times I've seen pictures of him like in an estate sale, and I know I'm going to go to that estate sale to look for him. So, but this second animal here is Dugan, but he's part of the Henry series. This is a very large one, so he did sell for $600, 46 inches. I normally find the ones that are like 12 inches, maybe even up to 24 inches. Now, when I say normally, I have probably found Henry 3 or 4 times in all of this time. I did have a Dugan before also. I have sold this reindeer before. It was large, and I ended up using the box that our number 7 priority boxes used to come in. I loved that box, and now they just send us our priority boxes wrapped in plastic. But that was such an excellent box for these large plush. But here is Henry. Just big brown, black eyes. And like I said, you can get him in all sizes. This particular Henry is 30 inches, so he sold for $200. Here's Dugan again for $200. Here's a 43-inch Henry for $200. And then there's a girl. I'm going to scroll on down. Here's the girl, Henrietta, and she sold for, looks about $100. Let me scroll back up. I've had these Coca-Cola plush before too, just 1 or 2 of them. But I sold them separately. I don't think I'd have sold these as a lot. I would have separated these out, but, you know, everybody does what they got to do to sell their things. All right, let me scroll down a little bit more. A lot of times the Animal Fair, their fur is like short, just kind of soft plush, but not that longer. So I almost can see it before I even know the tag that it's probably Animal Fair. These were some St. Bernards, and here's a Santa Claus for $50. Again, they just all have this really short piled fur. Here's a Sleepy Sam. This Cinnamon Bear is just, I would have picked it up no matter what. Now, I've talked about these Chubbles before. In fact, I picked up or got 2 out of my online estate sale that, I don't know if you've seen the video yet on it, but I did get 2 of them in this thing, and I tested them. One works and is in really nice condition. The other one, the battery, they use 9-volt batteries, and if you've ever tried to get them off, sometimes that top that attaches to the battery is very, it can get damaged easily. And I didn't do it, but it was already damaged. It was making some sounds, but I went ahead and put the 2 of them together. I would have never sold this many Chubbles together in one lot. But there was a time when I could sell those for like $40 to $50. I just realized recently when I was doing the research that the Chubbles are not selling like they used to. It was like, I want to say $20. Here's just other examples. Here's a turtle and a mouse, a monkey, and other Chubbles. Of course, that one was new in the box. Here's Henry again with the little overalls. And then these dinosaurs. Now, I've had the dinosaurs, I think 2 different ones before, and I think I got like the $50 to $60 for them. But just, that is just a brand I like to pick up. Again, I don't find them very often, but when I do, I always tell you guys, oh, this is my favorite brand. All right, next brand. And again, some of these, you're just not going to see them as often as I would like. This is Miss Noah, and I've talked about it before. They're a very unique plush. And when you realize, once you've seen a Miss Noah, you will know when you see them. They have these very unique eyes. It's like the eyes are part of the fabric. It's just, I'm going to pull one up here just so that you, let me see which one. Let's get this one open. And I think I've showed you guys one before, but their eyes are the fabric, same as the fabric that's on the face. This was I think I did a little bit of research on this. This was a woman who was making these originally, and I think then she was sold to a larger company, but she's no longer producing these. And I just love them. But like you can see on here, they don't sell for a whole lot. But all of them, if you see, their eyes are these like sleepy eyes, and it's fabric. Just love them. Now I'm going to show you Terapeak just to show that some of these do. I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see them, because if you've been on Terapeak, you see that the print is very small and you can't open up any of the older ones. But I did sell a Miss Noah this year. Of course, I cannot find a picture of it, but it was a Miss Noah Amelia Bearheart, and I had her plain. Let me tell you, the plane was probably, what, 3 feet long? It was huge, and then she was probably 18 inches. Had on the aviator cap and everything. I started out, I think, initially listing her for about $400. I ended up taking a best offer of $250 for her. And then here's other examples of some of them that have sold high. This was an inchworm that was 13 inches long, sold for $250. Here's some of the goose and an ostrich. All of these were selling for over $200. Just an amazing creation. They're so unique. So, just another one that I like to sell. All right, this is going to be take 2 on the Gund vintage plush, because I did this once already, and a whole lot of my search criteria, because I'm picking the highest dollar things, had pusheen in there. That's very popular right now, but it's not vintage. My husband, and I've been doing this 22 years, I didn't realize that in the search, you can put a minus pusheen, and it takes all of that out of your search. Didn't know that. Didn't realize you could do something like that. So I'm redoing the Gund. That way I have more search criteria of the vintage plush and less of the pusheen. So here we go. "22 years. But now I know. This first item, I'm not sure exactly how much it sold for, and I have never seen this before. Supposedly it's from the 1940s. It's a Gund Shmoo doll. Very interesting. I doubt I'll ever see it though. These next few has intrigued me because I have a whole lot of Gund, Dakin, that I've had for a while because they're just regular plush. They're nothing special. And this person on here has made these large lots and is getting like $5 and $10 per plush in these large lots. So I don't have this many, but I'm thinking I might look through some of my older listings and maybe pull 10 of the oldest Gund bears and put them together and do a lot of them. Maybe some of the older Applause or the older Russ. But this just intrigued me. I hadn't even thought about that. And I'm not sure if this person put these listings together and this was like a buy specifically for somebody, because I know that happens on there. But that's what all of these ones here, they got quite a bit for just Gund bears and rabbits, and I think I'm going to do that. I might do a couple of lots. These are Zwibble Dibbles. I have had, I think, one ever. Didn't know what it was. Had to use Google Lens. But definitely, if you see these, I guess they look like dinosaurs. Definitely look them up. Here's another collection. This is a Gund Swedlin. I'm going to do another one on the Gund Swedlin. I love that specific type of Gund plush. But here's some other examples. Here's a Gund Smooch dog, $159. I've had something similar. Makes me wonder. This is just a Gund monkey, another Zwibble. Here's a large Abby Cadabby, not vintage, but it's still in here. This is a Gund camel. I've told you guys, the odder the animal, the more, basically, you can get better prices for the more obscure plush. I've got a couple of camels that I think I've got listed a little relatively high. This is Mutsy. Now there's a whole series of the Gund Mutsies. I've found these a couple of times, and they come in varying sizes. Of course, this is one of the larger ones. It's over 30 inches, and then they go down in size. But they're definitely one to look for. They must have some crazy shipping prices on this for this to be in the highest. These are the Gund Two Shoes Bunny. I have had this once before. I don't think mine was in that great of condition, so I don't think I got this much for mine. This is a Sweet Cakes Bear. They're from 1988. I've not had that. That's intriguing though. This is a Gund Rabbit that sold for $100. Oswald. Anything from that show does really, really well. When I'm going to do a series on character plush. I'm going to try to remember. I'm going to put that in my notes to talk about the plush from that series. Again, another bear. This one is called Spanky Open Mouth. Bear. Here's another smooch puppy. There's a couple of these in this thing. They're like pretend head-mounted plush. This one is Goond Belle the cow. It's 9 inches tall. I've seen similar, but I don't think I've seen this one. Here's another different smooch dog. Here's the white one. Goond did put out a series of Babar, the elephant plush. I've had some of the smaller ones. This is 16 inches. Here's some more of the lots. Here's the Muggins monkey. I've seen this. I've never had this one before. Some of the Goond also had the rubber-faced, the really old ones. And sometimes you'll see they'll have Goond and Rushton, you know, keyword spamming. This isn't, well, here. I'm not sure if Rushton and Goond did some kind of thing. And there's another smooch. Here's a little white teddy bear. Here's some more of the Swedlins, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. And just more examples. Here's a white cat. My Name is Trouble. Puppy dog. Goond has a whole series of these elephants. This one has the rocker, and I think there's another example. I think there's another one where the ears move. These were Busy Beavers. I'm not familiar with that show, or if it came from a show. This is a lamb. Another bear. These are the Goond Boos. It's not vintage. I find them quite often. All right, and then again, the 2 shoes. Here's another one of the elephants. This is 24 inches. Of course, clowns always sell well for me. This one says this is Swedlin, so I do remember talking about one like this, but look, the eyes. I think it has the googly eyes, and they're just really discolored. Another one of the wall-mounted ones. This is all of the other reindeer. I don't think that's vintage, though. This is a Klondike Bear. I have had one of them, but I think it was smaller. And then, of course, Goond put out a whole bunch of Winnie the Pooh stuff. And I don't normally get prices like this, but it's very popular, and I sell them quite often. Here's another one of the cows. Here's a frog. I think, yeah, this is another one of the Mutsies. They usually were on their bellies, and they had this longer body. Goond also did the Sesame Street. Now, these are the Goond Snuffles. The ones that are different colors tend to get more money. They have a whole series that are just white, and I think they're like 8 inches. You know, those are just typically, I want to say, in the $8 to $12 range. I did sell one recently. I don't remember how much. Not this much, but very good. $40, $50 maybe. That had shimmering like tinsel in the fur. So it was a little bit different. I haven't had the pink one. I have had a tan one that does okay. But they're just these polar bears, and they're all shaped like this. And then a little bit more of the Rosita and the Sesame Streets. This is a purple chimp. Again, sometimes it's just the colors that make them more unique, make them do better. Goond does have a whole series of these bears that I'm always talking about that either have the pastel colors or the primary colors, and they do quite well. And then Goond did put out the Veggie Towels. I don't find them very often, but they do really well. Goond has a set, and Big Idea has some, and Fisher-Price has some. And if you see them, especially the ones that are like talking, definitely check the comps. But more than likely, you're going to want to grab them. You just don't see them very often anymore. This is a Apples the horse. I've never seen that one before. Again, the Sesame Street stuff. There is a pig series in Gund. Well, I can't remember. They don't have the keyword here. But a lot of times the pigs that are Gund, I wish I could remember. Maybe it'll be on here. It does really, really well. All right, and then these are Gund Craft Peanut Butter. I would love to find some of that in my vintage promotional advertising plush, but I don't remember that. But those are very cute. Here's another picture of one of the Mutsies. As you can see, the body is just kind of, it's floppy and it's just long in the limbs. This is Littlefoot from Land Before Time, definitely. He was put out by Gund and JCPenney's. Definitely one to look for. And I see them on occasion. A lot of times they've been dried and their fur is really matted. Makes me sad. This looks like one of the dogs, but they said this one is called Dog Feet. And just another monkey. That one's cute. A whole lot more choices when you take out Pusheen. This is Trouble, Snowy Dog. Again, this is an obscure character from the Garfield series. I'm going to really need to learn them because I've been seeing a whole lot of characters that I've never seen before. Here's a rabbit. I've had this Speckles the hippo before. This is a larger one. I've had little ones. I've not had this larger one before. Roscoe the dog. These are the two shoes again. This one's a bear, where the other one I believe was a rabbit. And another Mutsie. And then this Merciful Beagle. I've not heard of that before either. All right, so this is just some of the examples of Gund that you could be looking for. And then obviously I'm in different clothes from yesterday, so this will continue on, I believe, with the Gund Swedlin, unless Robert switches this all around. I wanted to go ahead and focus in on the Gund Swedlin. I have found a couple of tigers, two that specifically said Disney Tigger from Winnie the Pooh, and then one that looked very similar but wasn't. But again, if you notice, they've got the rubberized faces just like the Rushton. This person put Rushton in their title. I'm not sure if there was ever an affiliation, or did they just put that because of the face. Here's a rabbit. I think I've had a rabbit before. But it'll say right on the tag, Gund, and then in smaller print, it will say J. Swedlin right on them. But I just wanted to give you some examples. They're going to always be these really old looking plush. And a lot of people would never even give them the time of day because it's just that old plush. And especially if it doesn't have a rubber face, somebody might not even give them the time of day. But they're just adorable. And you know me, I love my plush, especially. But here's some rabbits that are just, and you know, we're $30, $35. I love anything that I can sell, especially over $20, $25. To me, that's just great for a sale because almost always I've paid $1 or less. All right, and then, yeah, see, this is kind of like the tiger I found. And I got picked up, I want to say 3 or 4 of them at the Goodwill bins. Nobody else was getting them, and I grabbed them all. In fact, I think I have this rabbit maybe listed in my store right now. That's not mine. So just examples of Gund Swedlin. All right, now the next two is Playskool and Hasbro, which are, they cross over. And at first I just was doing Playskool, and then I thought, well, I better look at Hasbro to see if there's other things that are coming in under it. And there were. And so I thought I'm just going to do 2 screens of each one to show you some of the examples of things to be looking for. No, this one. All right. If you've not heard of Snuzzles, if you're in any of those groups that are, you know, looking for lost loveys or toys from your past, almost on a monthly basis, you see somebody trying to find one of the Snuzzles. And this is an example of a Snuzzle. I've had the cow, I've had elephants, I've had bears, I even had a duck, and I've never seen a duck again on here. And if you see them, you know them. Their fur is like a blanket. It looks like a baby blanket, and they're called Playskool Snuzzles. So here's the cow. It sells for $300. Here's just this dog, and you're going to see several examples of it. I've not seen this dog. I would have gotten it, but I would have never known it was worth this much. Here's another cow Snuzzles. Now here was another example of why I wanted to look at the Playskools, and it crosses over to Hasbro too. The glowworms, especially the older ones, even the ones from the 90s do quite well. But this, of course, was new in the box, so it got $200. But definitely look for these. You know, bonus if the light stick inside of it works. But a lot of times they don't. And believe it or not, every time I have found one of these in 20-some years, if the light stick doesn't work, I actually have a tote of parts, like the little copper rods that were inside of them. I have a tote with all of them, and I'll try to see if I can get one working. I haven't found one of these in forever, though. All right, just like the dog, here is the rabbit. It sold for $250. I've not seen them. Here is the Snuzzle elephant. I've had it before. Here's another cow. Here's the lamb. Here is just a Hasbro teddy bear. They had it listed for $159. Usually it's going to still be in that price range, even if I can't see what's sold. And then I've talked about these before. These are the Nosy Bears. By Playskool, Hasbro. They're from the 80s, and if you squeeze their belly, it blows air into their nose, and there's usually some kind of scene in there, and it makes stuff flutter. So here's a rabbit. Here's another Snuzzles. It was a pony. I think some people might even call it a giraffe. Here's another Snuzzles. DuckTales. I have found that Plush with the DuckTales characters do quite well. Here is an Uh-Oh bear. I have not had that before. Here's the elephant. That's a Snuzzles. Here's some more of the Nosy Bears. And sometimes they're broken. Something happens inside of them. I would still sell them. Just disclose that they're not working. Roger Rabbit. You know, that's back in the 80s when my older boys were little. Here's another one of the elephants. Here's the pig. I see a lot of people looking for the pig. And oh, the jammy pies. We'll go, sometimes we'll be driving somewhere and I'll just start blurting out things that I want to find. And almost always it's, I want to find a box of jammy pies, or I want to find a box of My Child dolls. But I have found jammy pies, I think 3 times in all my years. You just don't find it. And all 3 of them were not in great shape. So I think I still sold them for like in the 50s and 60s. But the jammy pies also have a little pet. I don't know if there's any examples here, but just always look. And if a little plush says Playskool or Hasbro on it, grab it, because it's probably a replacement piece to something. All right, here's some of the Sesame Street. Riff from Barney. I have never seen this plush before, but I will keep an eye out for it. I have picked up some of these. These are the Playskool water pets. They're made out of that nylon stuff, and they can go into the bath. I haven't had this one before. This is some little red puppy dog. I have found Allegra a couple of times. I had to Google search her because I had never seen that before. This is the Snuzzles doll. She isn't as popular as some of the animals. This one got for $85 because it is new in the box. And then, of course, here's some more of the Nosy Bears. I think this is the one I have. I haven't sold it yet. Here's page 2. I wanted to point out the My Buddy dolls. Even though it's not a stuffed animal, definitely if you see the My Buddy or the My Buddy sister, if they're in good condition, pick them up. And sometimes even if they're not in good condition, if you think you can get their clothes cleaned, get them and sell their clothes. And then Dragon Tails. I definitely always pick up the plush from Dragon Tails. They sell quite well alone. I think the older it gets, that since when that was out, the better they do. And here's just another, somebody called this a firefly. It's a glowworm. It's one of the thermal weave ones. I have had this Playskool Pokey Puppy before. And then here's another one of the Water Pals. And I think I've had these before. I want to say they're called Grab-ems or something like that. But they're just little cloth plush that a baby can grab and hold on to. And they're usually either crinkly or rattly or something like that. Oh, this. And this was a bad sell because Sid the Science Kid came out with the Playskool. And I have sold just Sid the Science Kid for like $100. And here somebody has the whole series for $60. So that was... People need to do better research, especially if they're going to auction something. Because something like that, I probably would have, if I was going to do all four of them together, at least $99, if not $199 starting auction. It's just not knowing enough. Again, here's a little pink pig. Love it. Tiny Toons. All of them were from, you know, like the 80s and stuff. All right. And some of the older, the Teletubbies, Tinky Winky Lala, all of them. Some of them do really well, especially the talking ones. Again, here's DuckTales. All right. I think that was all the examples. Here's the glowworm again. DuckTales again. All right. Now let's move on to Hasbro. So there may be some crossover here. But I pulled these up and I thought, I've never seen this Baby Aliens doll before. It was an auction. How realistic this is, I'm not sure, but $1,200 for a toy. I have not ever found one of these Kenner Checkup puppies. They are kind of like the Puppy Surprises, which I've talked about them in some of my hauls. Some of them do really well, especially the older ones from the 90s. But yeah, there's several examples of this Checkup. I think it had stuff with it also. For real. This is from the Wuzzles. I think I've got several examples of this. I always pick them up also when I see them, but I've never had this panda before. Now, I've showed you guys these Boobas, especially the bigger ones that move and stuff. They do quite well still. I think these are the mini ones, and it was the full set, so they got $175 for the whole set of them. I don't see them very often, but if I did, I would pick them up and maybe just try to save them till fourth quarter. Here's another example of a Wuzzles. It's usually like two animals that they've combined together. Here's the rhino key. So they've done a rhino and a monkey. Here's another teddy bear that sold for quite a bit. They're getting into some of the older Pokemons in sets here. And then this is, I think there's another better picture. This is a Bingo Bear. I have found him several times. He has a sound box inside of him that also talks. And like you see here, this one's new in the box for $135. I think I might have another one on here. This is the baby Cub Surprise. It's like the Puppy Surprises, but it was bears. I have found the mama bear, but I've never found one with the babies. Of course, here's the pound puppies. A lot of times those are also Tonka. That's not even vintage. It's, well, 2015. This This is Sinclair. If you ever find Sinclair, now he's pretty big, and he's got a pull string on his head. Definitely pick him up. Even if the pull string isn't working, he's probably still worth picking up. They're a lot of work to clean up, though. I've found him several times, and he's never clean. All right, here's another Wuzzles. Here's a Pony Surprise from the same series. Here's another Wuzzles. Here's one of the bear cubs. Here's the pig, Piggy Pine. All right, let's go to page 2. I think it had a better, yeah. Here's the Bingo Bear. And he's a hand puppet also, but he makes sounds. And then I think the rest of these were just, here's Snuffleupagus. I think the rest of these were things we've already talked about. Here's some of the vintage Hasbro Softies. These are the My Little Ponies. I have found them a few times. Separate, they're not great, but this person had a lot, so they got $50, which was good. And this, I had this. This is from the Magic School Bus. It's Liz the Lizard. I actually had just a little plush from my online auction that I sold, I want to say $20-some. Well, somebody got this one, 16-inch, did an auction for $67. And then, oh, this is why I kept scrolling. If you ever see Little Mikey from Monsters, Inc., some of them are just the little ones that had an elastic band that went on Babylon Boo's arm, and some of them are like this, 10 inches, and have a hard plastic eye. Those are excellent. Grab them. I pick up all character toys anyway, so even if it's Mikey or Sully, I still pick them up. Babylon Boo, I pick her up. And then these are some of the kitty surprises. All right. Fisher Price, my favorite after Animal Fair, of course. But Fisher Price is kind of why I got into eBay initially. Just I've collected Fisher Price Little People and the vintage ones, and I wanted to trade things that I had duplicates for, and it's just kind of how I got started. Oh, I didn't scroll this one up. All right, here's some of the examples of the ones I've talked about. Of course, the Rumples. Now, this gray one, new in the box, of course, it sold for quite a bit. The gray one is harder to find. There are tan ones and brown ones. I think depending on color. There's purple ones, and there are rabbits and cats and bears and just a whole series of them. I always buy them, always. These are the Gummy Bears. This was a set of 6. I guess that was a complete set, so it did well. I have found 1 or 2 of them. I've never found a whole set of them. These are cozies. I've not had this reindeer, but there's bears and some others. They've got like a thermal weave fabric, and they're not very big, you know, less than a foot. But obviously, if you see a reindeer one, pick it up. The Puffalumps. I jokingly say quite often, just because it's a nylon doesn't make it a Puffalump. It needs to be Fisher Price to be called Puffalump. But here's a pig, new in the box, so of course they got more. Here's an Easter bunny, and they all have that like raincoat nylon fabric. Here's a rhino. This, there's going to be better examples of this. This is one of the security blankets that definitely need to keep a lookout for. I'm going to tell you a story when I find one that's better to show you. And this intrigues me because I have Fozzie Bear in this sandbag. In fact, he's sitting right over here. So it makes me wonder how much Fozzie's worth. I need to deal with him. Where did I put him? Oh, here. Here's Fozzie, and he's got like a sandbag kind of body. And there was a series that somebody had done Kermit Fozzie and Miss Piggy, and it was one of those crazy prices. All right, here's another of the security blankets, but it's not a good example. Here's another Puffalump rabbit. Here's one of the cozy rabbits. Cozies. Not all of them are worth this much, but, all right, here's the rabbit. In fact, this might have been the one I had. I went to the flea market one time and bought one of these for $1. I knew what I had, and I decided I was going to auction it. Now, this was probably 15 years ago. I was going to auction it, and I was going to start my auction at $9.99. It was so long ago, it was when you had to pay based on what you started your price at. So I think the $9.99 you had to pay $0.25, but if you listed it for $10, it would cost you like 50 cents. It was something like that. So I did a $9.99 auction and moved on to the next item. It wasn't an auction. I did it as a buy it now. And of course it sold before I could get back and get it. And I honored it, but it was heartbreaking. And I never made that mistake again. So yes, somebody got one of them for $9.99 because I wasn't paying attention. Here's more Puffalumps. Here's another one of the security blankets. Just this teddy bear with the satin body. Always, I tell you guys this, it may even be a rattle. I don't remember. Another security blanket. That's not my Fozzie Bear. But again, vintage Sesame Street, always pick them up too. Or at least, look, here's a Puffalump pony. It comes in pink, it comes in blue, and I think some of them, the stripes are different. And one might actually be worth more than the other one. Here's a brown Rumples, another brown Rumples. So you can see the brown does quite better than like the purples and stuff. Another one of the Satin Bears. Another pony, Blue's Clues in the box, so that's a totally different thing. Here's a Pegasus. I've not had that one before, but it's also in the Puffalump series. And let's look at page 2. I think there was something on, yeah. I wanted to show you guys these. I've showed you one of these. I picked one of these up somewhere along the way since I started making these videos, but they're called Slumber Babies. I've probably had 4 or 5 of them. In fact, one time I found one in the bottom of a garbage can at a church sale, and it was a little dirty, not really bad, and they gave it to me. But definitely keep an eye out for these. They come in different colors. See, here's the example of the Puffalump with the smaller stripes. These are the Diner Roars. There are different ones in this series. If you squeeze them, they make this noise that's supposed to sound like a roaring dinosaur. There's also cavemen that go in this series. There's another one of the Slumber Babies. And a few more of the Cozies and the Puffalumps. All right, so we've gone through the first 6 of my favorite 12. But I'm going to go ahead and cut this off here because I talk way more than I think I'm going to about the things that I love. So we're already at like 35 minutes in just recording. So I'm going to go ahead and end this here, turn this off, and start again and do the other 6.
As a second video.
As a second video. And I will make him release these concurrently. Is that the right word? Concurrently?
One after
the other.
Like consecutive days or something.
Yes.
You're going to make me.
Yeah, I'm going to make him.
Yes. Just like you made me weed eat. That I haven't gotten to.
Yes.
Because I'm too busy doing all the other things you want me to do.
Yes.
That's the why.
I have a honey-do list that's actually in a spreadsheet that's on both of our phones that I just add to and add to and add to. And then it says, okay, tell me the priority. All right.